Thank you everyone for joining us for Global Insights from the Connected Student Report. Charlotte said, my name is Alistair Lawrence. I'm the Special Projects Editor at THE, and I'm joined today by Frederick Leclerc from Salesforce, who will be providing some insights from this year's Salesforce Connected Student Report. And also over the course of this session, we will be running a couple of live poll questions related to the report's findings. And we'll be doing that in order to get some live feedback from the forum's audience today. So Fred, perhaps we can hand straight over to you and you can introduce yourself, and then we'll move on to going through the findings from the report.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alistair. So my name is Frederick Leclerc. So I'm French, so please bear with my accents. I know sometimes it's a bit difficult to understand, but I'll try to articulate as much as I can. So I'm Frederick Leclerc. I'm a Senior Manager Industry Solutions at Salesforce for Education. And I've recently joined Salesforce early this year. Prior to that, I used to work for INSEAD, one of the famous business schools, for almost 17 years. And I'm very thrilled actually to present this to you the global insights from the Connected Student Report. And I think we are ready to start, right? So I'm going to share my screen, and please confirm that everything is fine on your side, Alistair.
That looks good. Thanks, Fred.
Perfect. So, before we get to the heart of the matter, I would like to introduce shortly Salesforce.org and Education Cloud. So Salesforce.org is Salesforce Social Impact Center, which focuses on partnering with the global community to tackle the world's biggest problems. At Salesforce.org, we build powerful technology for and with our community of nonprofits, schools, and philanthropic organizations to help them maximize their social impact with Education Cloud. To date, Salesforce is supporting more than 6,000 education customers of all types and sizes worldwide, and assisting more than 1,000 of them in their transformational programs to drive learners and universities' success. If you're interested in knowing more about our customer stories, there is a link down right below on that slide. Or you can also visit our website at salesforce.org. So what is Education Cloud? Our journey to develop Education Cloud began with one goal: to transform the #1 CRM, which is the most versatile, flexible, and scalable platform on the market, into the #1 platform to drive learner and institution success. With this idea in mind, we have developed a range of products and solutions specifically designed to meet the needs of the education sector across 4 main themes. The first one is student experience, to deliver outstanding services and drive retention with self-services, community portals, student advising and support, telecommunications, and many more. The second one is recruitment and admissions, to find, engage, and enroll best with students for our institutions. The third one is related to alumni engagement and fundraising, to build lifelong relationships with your alumni and donors and strengthen your outreach and your brand. And finally, operational excellence of universities through unified marketing and communication, process optimization, including workflows and automation, and improves experience for faculty and staff. In short, Education Cloud creates a single source of truth with a true 360-degree view across the entire educational journey on one connected platform that transforms students' experience in lifelong relationship. So let's deep dive into the report itself. So to build the second edition of our Connected Student Report, we have partnered with Ipsos and the Chronicle of Higher Education to learn more about the student experience across North America, Europe, but also Australia. Before we continue, if you have not downloaded the report yet, you can get a copy at sfdc.co/CSR in capital letters 21. You will be able to browse it at your own pace and enjoy the wealth of information it contains in greater detail. So in this global survey, we've interviewed over 2,000 individuals, which includes students, faculty, and staff from 10 countries over 3 continents. This report not only highlights what's top of mind for students and staff, but also provides insights into how universities can adapt to ensure the success of students throughout their learning journey. In the Connected Student Report, you all learn how universities are exploring new business models and how they are building innovation and agility in their DNA. Today, I want to draw your attention on 3 of those 5 findings. We'll first focus on student well-being. The second will be around career pathway, and we'll surface slightly flexible learning. So, when it comes to supporting student well-being and in general, there is concerns about student mental health and well-being. I'd already led many universities to offer more services, including ones that students could access online. The anxieties and calamities faced by students, as well as faculty and staff, increase those worries. But first of all, I would like to define what is well-being. So well-being, as a definition, is an holistic concept which integrates aspects such as social, personal, and physical capacities of a person to determine which characteristics of a state are responsible for the contribution of that state to the well-being of a person. I know this is a pretty hard sentence to understand, so I would like to have a close look at the 8 wellness dimension. So the first one is occupational. So occupational wellness is the ability to achieve a balance between work and leisure in a way that promotes health, a sense of personal satisfaction, and for some people can be like financially rewarding. Our attitude and ability to effectively deal with work, school, and career goals greatly affects wellness, performance, interactions with others, and overall success. The second one is spiritual. Spiritual wellness is about finding meaning in your life experiences, being able to develop harmony with your inner self and the outer world. In simple terms, spiritual well-being is an important part of inner balance for many. Intellectual wellness is about encouraging learning, stimulating curiosity, and emphasizing with importance to explore new ideas in order to become a better rounded person. Emotional wellness refers to the ability to handle emotions in a constructive way and to maintain a positive emotional state. It inspires self-care, relaxation, stress reduction, and the development of inner strength. Physical wellness can be achieved through regular exercise, proper nutrition, and abstaining from harmful habits. When it comes to social well-being, this includes respect for others and for oneself. This dimension often refers to the ability to interact successfully within different communities while navigating the varied expectations and demands of our society. Financial well-being involves obviously the active management of money by balancing spending and savings. We need to stress the line on the fact that financial stress is a very common source of anxiety, which can have negative effects on both health and job performance. And finally, environmental wellness is being in tune to how actions affect the environment around us, whether it is at work, home, or anywhere else. Being aware of Earth's finite resources and how we impact this world is a great start to environmental wellness. But what is mental health? So mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stress of life, can work productively, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So how does this translate for students? Long before COVID, mental health problems were on the rise in the student community. Unfortunately, these symptoms are now increasingly common due to social distancing, the inability to mingle with peers, making students feel more isolated and insecure than ever. This unprecedented situation has heavily affected the learning experience of the vast majority of them, to the extent that 76% of respondents consider their well-being to be in question. Actually, 37% asked for more opportunities to engage with one another. So we need to understand that students are craving for more social interactions. They want to connect with their peers and suppress this feeling of isolation that the social distancing and remote learning have created. Hopefully, with technology, universities can implement palliative solutions to address this vital need by setting up communities platforms and using social tools to connect students virtually. 36% asked for more access to mental health experts. This is a striking number because until recently, a lot of students wouldn't dare to reach out and soliciting the support they needed. Therefore, it is essential that universities proactively identify students who need help or the ones that are at risk and provide appropriate support options. To address this urgent issue, universities need to work with specific external partners or follow guidance from mental health bodies. 34% of our respondents asked for more online wellness support. As we mentioned, this new global pandemic has really disrupted our habits, making it even more challenging to maintain a spiritual, intellectual, and emotional balance. To support students in this state of distress, universities must redouble their efforts to alleviate this problem. And this can take various forms, such as putting in place hotlines, offering online services like click and collect or guides, or arranging virtual appointments or gathering and events. So 29% asked for more well-being focused communication. And I think it's an important point to notice, mainly because it raises a question and ways of interpreting it. It's about asking whether universities are well equipped to foster the well-being of their communities. Are they organized in such a way that they can react fast or proactively to early signals, triggers, or alerts? For instance, do they need to consider hiring a chief well-being officer to orchestrate all this? As an example, one of our universities in the US chose to introduce regular checks online. Not only the response rate exceeded their expectations, because there was over 70% of response, but it gave them feedback on how to improve the well-being of their students. This had a real positive impact as students felt valued, supported, which helped them to build a climate of trust. So where can we start? We recently organized a webinar on the following topic: education trends and how universities can lead the way. The thought leaders we spoke to recommended some of the ideas and approaches listed in on this slide to address students' well-being. So first one is know who your students are at the wall. It's about going beyond our fundamental knowledge of our communities, which includes students, staff, and faculties, and how they are intertwined. And we can achieve that by integrating more than just wellness factors, but such as like relational or potentially behavioral dimensions too. And ultimately, the goal will be like to understand how to balance these complex systems in terms of needs, expectations, and challenges. The next one is organized support digitally. So many universities have had to focus on implementing innovative solutions to meet the needs of students over the past 18 months. From virtual classrooms to student portals, universities are now well positioned to consolidate this new technological foundation and further developed online services to accelerate student success. Tap in your community collective intelligence. These aspects tend to be wrongly neglected, even though it represents an inexhaustible source of knowledge and ideas. When collective intelligence is applied to the challenges and problems of universities, the potential of connecting your communities can facilitate the emergence of new, innovative, and unifying solutions. Connecting students together is undoubtedly the cornerstone of student success and the assurance to offer the best experience to your students. We are already living in an hyper-connected world with a constantly increasing diffusion of online dialogue spaces. This can translate into offering more opportunities for all your constituents and to connect between students, alumni, staff, and faculty in various forms. You can put in place like mentoring program, coaching, or advising sessions, for instance. Communicate proactively and in a personal way. As we said earlier, it is essential to know your students as a whole. This increases our ability to leverage technology to deliver intelligent, personalized content on their preferred channel at an appropriate frequency to support them and drive engagement. So last one, I think, is very important. This crisis has demonstrated the importance of being close to your students in many ways. Whether it's showing that you care and building trust, it's a strong success factor that cannot be overlooked and should be practiced, if not already done, by all universities. But is that all? One major takeaway from the report is the need for learning options that fits students' busy schedules. If we take the example of the United States, a large number of students are working full-time as they learn. So while many students and high percentages of staff prefer face-to-face engagement, many students also recognize the value of taking courses asynchronously or more conveniently from their home. In fact, 1 in 4 students said that having more flexible courses and part-time offering will help them to succeed. In short, universities should not only consider flexible in learning as a new method of teaching, but rather as an approach and an opportunity that can be applied to multiple dimensions. For instance, reduce entry requirements or better support learner by allowing them to define their own plans and their own learning schedule, flexible and pace of learning, and so on. So now we will take a brief pause to ask you a question. What do you think universities need first to better support students? You will be able to answer this poll through a QR code that will appear on screen. And if it's not working for you guys, feel free to just type your answer in the chat and we'll try to actually get the trend of it. So please take your smartphone, take a picture of the QR code and fill in your answers.
Fred, while we're waiting for the results to come through, I just had a couple of questions about the findings from the report so far. I mean, does the fact that there are this amount of sort of different responses from students and they're all kind of hovering around the same amount in terms of engagement, does that really highlight some of the challenges that persist when we talk about how learning needs to be more personalized than ever before?
So I think what's interesting with this question is the fact that it's not something really new. The fact is COVID has mainly acted as a catalyst and accelerated these transformational needs from universities. But the idea of flexible learning is more and more coming into play, mainly because the labor market is moving extremely fast. And as such, people are always questioning, like, do I need to go into degree? Because the market's moving so fast that the things I'm going to learn might not be like adequate for my future job. And in such a way, when it comes to flexible learning, people are seeing this mostly an opportunity to either do some reskilling or upskilling or merely match their career opportunities or career expectations to a tailored curriculum that just is a good fit for them.
And is this something that is already causing universities to restructure, your university partners to restructure in terms of how they are engaging with students? You know, is it a process that begins much earlier, and is it more constant now, even if it is just little and often?
Well, I think that if I look backward over the last 18 months, universities have made like such great efforts to adapt to this pandemic situation and try to accommodate with new ways of learning and teaching. That my guess is in the near future, we'll see more and more ways to adapt the content, which is much more face-to-face nowadays, into a much more virtual approach of learning. And I think the way universities have been structuring that curriculum is easily transposable into a flexible learning approach. I mean, with technology, we've seen like so many ways of approaching learning and teaching, from purely face-to-face to hybrid, like to fully online to asynchronous learning and so on, that there is ways and rooms for universities to rethink the way they do actually propose and engage their students and offer them something which is much more relevant for them.
Right, thank you. Yeah, okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on with if Paul, we've got some technical difficulties or not. So perhaps we move on to the next slide and
yeah, sure.
We'll come back to that.
So student career pathway are top of mind. So financial challenges and anxiety about future are common among students. Unfortunately, the pandemic has only heightened these concerns, increasing economic woes and uncertainty. Students are looking even more towards higher education universities to prepare them for careers. So student employability has always been a whole time of high importance in Europe, to such an extent that most universities require students to validate at least work experience during their studies in the form of an earned credit to be allowed to graduate. As such, students' employability is not only a crucial criterion to attract the best students and improving in the rankings, but represents a governmental incentive for universities to redouble their efforts to integrate graduates into the labor market. Therefore, students pay great attention to their career prospects. Unsurprisingly, 49% of them consider the latter to be a determining factor in their decision whether or not to enroll at a university. And this is even before academic orientation at some point. 30% of them are actually asking for more connections with employers. Students want universities to introduce them to employers matching their career interests. As such, more attention needs to be paid to internships, service learning options, and towards creating more support mechanisms. And obviously, connecting virtually students with employer and alumni can greatly help to get ahead in the job world. So 29% of them are asking for more online one-to-one advising. Nowadays, personal coaching, guidance on where to look for opportunities in terms of market, country, company, and roles, and career resources in general are fundamental for students. While granting them an easy access to the alumni community through mentorship programs, it can be a huge plus in their career success. It is also important to understand that teaching students how to write a CV or pass an interview is no longer enough. They expect universities to be real market experts. 25% of them also ask for more career support. Although there has been incredible progress and innovation in the way universities support students, when we ask them, we find that there is still room for growth. More and more of them are asking for more professional support than today's technology can provide. But an important question remains: where to start? Once again, our panelists suggested a couple of options to support students. The first one is how to prepare students for any job. And it comes to how we can adapt curriculums to integrate more soft skills such as responsible leadership or dimensions such as corporate social responsibility to address the upcoming challenges of labor market, but also to tackle the world's greatest problems. It also comes around like guiding students around their career path. Part of the guidance involved helping students to figure out their career plans, narrowing down their interests, capabilities, and preference early, to chart a plan throughout the student journey to achieve their career goals. Success can come from the plans you develop with your students, the guidance you give them, and the resources you make available to them, obviously. So inviting corporate partners to the classroom. It has been proven that bringing companies closer to the classroom has a tremendous impact to create opportunities for students through networking. Career fairs, company-specific events, or lectures can greatly help students to define a career trajectory and shape their future path. Leverage the alumni community. I think this is a recurrent theme because it's so important for every institution. I don't think that anyone in this group will dispute the importance of tapping into your alumni networks. The wealth of experience and knowledge that they have gained is invaluable to your students. But we also need to look after alternative networks, such as partner networks, company networks, and employer networks too. A key point that I think we all need to address as per institutions and higher education in general is maintaining engagement post-graduation. Ultimately, the success recipe for the year to come really depends on the engagement and commitment you will maintain with every one of your students by providing lifelong learning opportunities throughout their life and being the #1 partner, and I'm insisting on the word partner, for their personal and professional growth. So I have another question I would like to ask, but if the system is not working,
Fred, sorry, I'm afraid it's like a technical glitch on our end. Basically, you can't see the results now, but I can, I'm afraid.
Wonderful.
So I will tell you what the results are if you just talk us through this one.
Sure. So the question that is next to ask is, what is, from your perspective, the most critical to foster student employability?
Okay, I think it's going to take about 10 seconds to come through, and then we should just have time to relay the result to you, and then from there we'll have about 3 or 4 minutes to wrap up. So if you'll
wonderful.
Okay, so I mean, just while we're waiting for the results to come in, again, is this something where you think that there is perhaps more appetite now also on the other side from industry to engage more with universities because of the rate of change in the job market?
Yeah, so what we can see in terms of trends, upon even like funding research through universities, companies are more and more willing to get involved into shaping the future of education, mainly because they can foresee the trends on how the market is going to evolve, and as such, they predict how we can shape courses and curriculum in such a way that we can address with the right set of skills new jobs that are going to appear. What we need to understand is by 2025, a huge fraction of the jobs that we have today will be new, and automation will increasingly take over simple tasks that we all do on a daily basis. And as such, companies are more and more into the right, I'll say, mindset to help education to go in the right directions, because the future workforce that they'll get is the people that are coming out of schools and higher education. And as such, they need to ensure that they can leverage those new resources and this new workforce in such a way that it's profitable for them, but also for the people joining the company.
I see. Thank you very much. And we've now had the results through, and there's a clear leader with 60% of the vote, which is providing lifelong learning opportunities, which is option E. I assume this, we've only got a couple of minutes left, I'm afraid, but I assume this tallies with the work that you're doing with your partners and your universities that you're supporting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that lifelong learning has become a kind of, I will not say a big trend because it seems like a bit of a buzzword, but I think that we've all understood that lifelong learning is something important, not only as a professional, but also as a personal level. I think that learning is a lifelong journey on its own. And institutions have understood that through engagement and building those kind of very lifelong relationship with their students and communities, there is appetite for those people to come back and learn more from the schools. And especially in a world that requires sometimes quite a need of reskilling or upskilling, there is a clear opportunity for universities to shape the future of education, not only for having to deliver purely degree programs, but also to actually enhance those degrees with micro-credentials, certifications, stackable components, and so on. So it's not going to replace degrees. In any way, it's not going to. But we can clearly see that we can feed a gap that exists today with like engaging more and offering more learnings to students and actually adult workers.
Thank you very much. I think in closing, another insight is just that it gives universities the opportunity to draw on their own centres of excellence and really sort of play to their strengths in terms of the industry links that they already have, where they're located, and the type of student cohort that they have as well. That takes us up to time, I'm afraid. So thank you, Fred, very much. I'm sorry we slightly ran out of time there, but I think we packed a lot into half an hour. So thank you very much for sharing your insights. Thank you to everyone who took part in the polls. We hope that you stick around and enjoy the rest of the Student Success Forum today. Thank you very much.